All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Welcome, everyone. We're so delighted to have you join us today to learn more about our program and bioethics and medical humanities. So I'm going to go ahead and move us along. So I'm Dr. Leah Jeunnette. I am the director of our MA in Bioethics and Medical Humanities program here at Case Western Reserve University. I'm also the assistant director of educational programs and a senior research associate in the Department of Bioethics. I also am a clinical ethicist at one of our hospitals here in Cleveland, University Hospitals Cleveland Medical Center. And also something that I'm very proud of is I am an alum of the master's program. So I completed this program in 2009. I went on and got my PhD in bioethics. And around the time I graduated, a position opened up here and joined the department at that time. I am very fortunate to be in a wonderful department. A lot of my work, in addition to the administrative role, I do teach in the program, and I focus on adolescents, pediatrics, and clinical ethics in general. So, all right, I'm going to keep us moving. So I just did an introduction, but then we're going to dive into why study bioethics and medical humanities, give you kind of a general framework of why we think studying these topics are important. We'll dive into a program overview for the master's program, cover application and financial aid, and then I'll leave time for Q&A at the end. So speaking of Q&A, you can submit your questions through the Q&A feature. If you look for the Q&A button, look for a drop down to take you to the Q&A and go ahead and enter your questions there. I will save the questions till the end and answer them at that time. So let's dive in. Why study bioethics and medical humanities? I actually get asked this question quite a bit, not only in my role as the director and also interacting with students, but from the general population of saying, well, why study this? Why does it matter? And I think one of the hallmarks of an entry point for bioethics and medical humanities is healthcare impacts all of us, whether it's our own health and how we access it, whether it's our loved ones' health and how they access it, or in healthcare for that matter, or it becomes part of our professional world as well. So it impacts us in numerous ways. Sometimes it impacts us greater than others, or certain times in our lives, it impacts us more than other times. But ultimately, we're continuing to see constant advancements in medicine, science, technology, research, and because of that, it leads to big questions. And a lot of these big questions are ethical concerns. So just for example, the question of should we intervene? Should we get involved? What kind of values should inform policy, or what kind of values inform practice? You can imagine that people have very strong views on this, and they often disagree, but how do we get to a point where we can create policy and practice despite the conflict of values? Another question that comes up often is, can we and should we ensure justice and respect for persons in research, in clinical practice? And this can be a hard thing of, where do we draw the line, or is there no line? So these are big questions. And of course, there can be much more specific and granular questions as well. But these are some pretty overarching questions, I think, that really can compel someone to study bioethics and medical humanities. These fields are incredibly interprofessional, multidisciplinary, both in their origin and in their current practice. And so when you see someone who is doing the work in bioethics, there is not one career path or one degree that we all have, or one educational background. We have people who work in bioethics and medical humanities, and they are coming from the lens of a physician or a nurse or a physician assistant. Perhaps that people come from a law background, or they come from a background in policy or research or regulations. We have folks that have very niche areas, genetics and genetic research and the ethical issues around that, or public health or adolescents and pediatrics. There's a huge variety of people who are working in this space, which also means we get a variety of interests from these spaces and these areas of study. And because of that, it's reflected in our student body. So our students use this program as a way to launch them into the next phase of their career path. For some, they're right out of undergrad and they're looking to launch their career path. For others, it's making a change in their career path, and that can be just as rewarding. So we have many students who go on to legal and clinical professions, research and regulatory work, arts and humanities, bioethics and academics. And ultimately, we have a pool of students every year who are looking for discernment. They want to be involved in research, they want to be involved in health, or they want to be involved in policy or medicine or what have you, but they're not sure how to go about it, or they're not exactly sure what that could look like. And so this program affords them an opportunity to really explore and kind of hone in on what they're interested in, what they're good at, and what their career path could look like. So to continue on that theme, this is just a sampling of the undergrad majors we see from students. So there is a huge variety, anything from kind of your standard pre-law, pre-med, pre-health, to things like foreign languages, French, or topics like genetic counseling, international studies, molecular biology. We have hard sciences as well as humanity type courses as well, or humanity type majors as well. And then from there, we have students, and again, small sampling, students go on to numerous careers, whether it's in the healthcare profession or adjacent to it, or beyond that, including things like business and lobbyists and different types of ways to use the bioethics knowledge. So for our master's program, this is our current 29th year of the program. We're very excited about that. For students who complete the program full time, it does take 1 year or essentially 2 semesters. In rare cases, students might take a third semester. We also have part-time options available. We have a number of students who do the part-time, and it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 years for those completing the program part-time. Within that curriculum, it is 30 credit hours. It is very customizable. So essentially, 13 and a half are pure electives, and the remainder are core requirements. But even within those core requirements, there's quite a bit of flexibility. One of the hallmarks of our program is our 160 hours of clinical ethics rotations. We're very proud of that. And I'm going to talk more detail in just a little bit. And something else that's unique that we offer are short-term study abroad programs. So these are 3 credit courses that students can take. You travel over spring break or in May for 1 or 2 weeks, and you get to take an elective. You get to be in another country, experience another culture, and also a comparison of the bioethics and medical humanity topics for that course. Every student is offered personalized advising through the program. We think about what you're interested in and your background, and then match you up with an academic advisor. And we also have dual degree options for those who are interested, including dual degree with the MD program, the JD program, Master of Public Health, Masters of Social Work, Masters in Genetic Counseling, in addition to our combined bachelor's and master's program for current case undergrad to do a master's while they're here. So to dive a little bit more into how the MA curriculum is customized, I think this is a good illustration of the overall courses students take. And obviously when you take them can vary if you're full-time, part-time, and all those things. But for all students, by default, you are in what we call our traditional program. And so this traditional program, every student takes Foundations in Bioethics and Medical Humanities 1 and 2. You take at least 1 semester of clinical ethics rotations, and you complete your capstone paper. From there, the electives are entirely open to these students, and they also do a second semester of clinical ethics rotations. But for students who have a specialized interest in one of our concentrations, there are ways to customize this program even more. So you can customize to be in a certain concentration, medicine, society, and culture. health policy or research. And then as you can see, the electives are somewhat designated as they relate to that concentration in particular. Our electives, though, have a wide range of opportunity. So we have electives anywhere from things like neuroethics, public health ethics, genetics and ethics, to aging, ageism and embodiment, death, dying, and mortality. We have courses that focus in on foundations of medicine, society, and culture, research ethics, clinical ethics, and students can also take electives outside the program, outside the department. One of the very popular courses students take is history of medicine out of the history department, or a health law course out of the law school. I like to highlight this because it really helps to hit home how customizable the program is. And your personalized advisor can really help you think through what's the best fit for your program goals and your career goals. So as I mentioned, we also offer our clinical ethics rotations. This is an amazing opportunity to be inside our hospitals here in Cleveland. For most students, they're doing 160 hours of experience. You are assigned to a particular hospital for the fall and a different hospital in the spring. We try to have students experience one public hospital system and one private. So here in Cleveland, we have two private hospital systems, as you can see, University Hospital and Cleveland Clinic. Our two public hospitals are Metro Health and the VA hospital. All four of these hospitals have different expertise, different types of patient populations, and different areas of medicine that they focus in on. And so we really work with students to identify what they're interested in, what they're seeking to learn and get out of the rotations, as well as making sure they're getting a well-rounded experience. And so in your rotations at your assigned hospital, you are doing things like going to morning rounds, general floor rounds, interdisciplinary rounds, team consult rounds. You could be attending committee meetings such as ethics committee, rehab, animal research, transplant selection meetings, and also going one-on-one with healthcare professionals as they meet with patients or attend meetings. This could be social workers, chaplains, genetic counselors, in addition to physicians or nurses and other healthcare professionals. I will say students often tell us this is the highlight of the program for them. They really get to see both depth and breadth in the clinical rotations, which is an amazing opportunity for students. So I'm going to pivot a little bit from the program and discuss the application process. So we try to be as straightforward as we can with our application. There's an online application to complete. There are a number of things you need to submit with it. Transcripts for all undergrad and graduate institutions. Unofficial transcripts are perfectly acceptable for the application process. We ask for your resume or a CV. 2 letters of recommendation. We'd prefer one be from some type of professor or instructor that you had prior. We'd love to see them be able to speak to their assessment if you are graduate level ready, if you are if they believe you have the character and the strength and the ability to do grad level work. We ask for a statement of purpose. A statement of purpose is a little different from a personal statement. What we're looking for in our statement of purpose is addressing 2 different things. One is, what is your interest in bioethics and medical humanities? Why are you interested in this topic? And the second is, how are you envisioning and going to utilize this program in your career path? And that could be a number of things. As you saw earlier, we have students go into a multitude of careers, but it also could be that you're searching as well. And that's perfectly acceptable for us to see in a statement of purpose. Graduate test scores are optional for all applicants. If you're an international applicant, there is some additional requirements, although they could be on a case-by-case basis if they're waived. That evaluation is done through grad studies, and we're happy to connect you with them so they can speak more to that. And then for students who are current undergraduates at CASE, looking to do our master's as part of the combined bachelor's master's program, there's an additional form that you would need to complete. Easiest way to start is to schedule a meeting with me, and we can start to dive into that, your course schedule and the PPOS form. Another question we often get is about financial aid. So something that we are thrilled to be able to offer students is our student assistantship program. Student assistantships are very competitive. We probably get double or triple the number of applications versus the number of slots we have. But what we're able to do is connect students with teaching, research, or administrative opportunities within our department. And students, in exchange for the number of hours they're working per week, receive a tuition waiver. The average student receives about a quarter tuition waiver, which is around 12 to 13,000. And that is split between the 2 semesters. It can be anywhere from 5 to 10 hours a week. Applications for the student assistantships will launch in January. And to be eligible for that, you simply have to submit your master's application. We also have a great financial aid office here on campus, and all students applying can fill out FAFSA, and there's also traditional financial aid options available. And additional tuition information, fees, all of that is available through Graduate Studies. So in terms of a timeline, our first priority 1 deadline is December 1st. What we guarantee is if you submit a completed application by December 1st, including those letters of recommendation, we will render an admission decision before the end of the year. Typically, we go on break around the end of the 3rd week of the month of December. And so before that, you would get an admission decision from us. In general, we do rolling admissions, and so our timeline for reviewing an application is generally 2 to 3 weeks. We are pretty consistent with that, and we try to stay on top of the admission cycle. If you are looking to be a CBM applicant, the application is due March 1st if you're planning to start in the fall. If you're looking to start at a different time frame as a CBM student, you need to meet with me and we would talk about deadlines, and we would need to meet as soon as possible. Our priority 2 deadline is May 15th. In order to be eligible to apply for student assistantships, which launch in January, you need to submit your master's app by May 15th. We also encourage international students to submit at the latest May 15th. So it gives you plenty of time to complete all the visa and paperwork that is needed in order to join the program by the fall. Our final application deadline is August 1st. And then we have orientation at the end of August, and the fall semester starts August 25th. Time goes quickly, and so I encourage students get your applications in early so you can know your application decision and then start making plans, including moving to Cleveland because we are an in-person program. And so it gives you time to find a place to live, to make all the arrangements you need as well. I'm going to open us up for questions. If folks have questions, they're welcome to submit in the Q&A. I also had some questions that were pre-submitted. I think one of the questions we pretty consistently get, and I'm happy to start with that as folks type in their questions. The question we typically get is, why your program? Why Case Western? Why, what makes this program different than others' programs? And there's a couple of reasons. One, Case Western Reserve University and the School of Medicine have a long-standing reputation for excellent education, excellent opportunities for students as it relates to health and medicine and science. In particular, bioethics has a long tradition here at the university and throughout the greater Cleveland community. It's one of the biggest bioethics hubs in the country because not only is bioethics important here at Case Western Reserve and in our School of Medicine, but at our hospitals here, teaching hospitals throughout Cleveland as well. The second thing I would also say is because we've been around for so long, we're currently in our 29th year, we have both depth and breadth built into our program over the years. And so we simply aren't adding things into the program simply because it's more marketable or more interesting. We add it because it brings value to the programs, students want to see it, and we've been able to gradually add things over time. So for instance, when our program initially launched, we included the clinical ethics rotations. They're still a hallmark of our programs. About 15 years ago, we added study abroad courses, and we felt those were important. In 2017, we added medical humanities formally into the curriculum after many years of having it informally. And so we're continuing to grow and build our program as both gradually, but also at a pace that allows us to expand. Oh, I'm seeing a great question. So is research encouraged or an option for those who do not choose research for their concentration? Can you provide some brief research topic examples? This is a fantastic question. So yes, we definitely encourage students to be involved in research, whether or not they are in the concentration. And there's a couple of ways they can do that. One is through the student assistantship program. They actually can be assigned to a research team or a faculty or a research project and formally work on something. Students are welcome to volunteer to join a research project if they are not part of the student assistantship program as well. And that is, both of those options are regardless if a student is in the research concentration. For students who maybe have an interest in research or research ethics, but they don't want to fully commit to the concentration, you are also welcome to take those electives, the Research Ethics and Regulations course or the Research Ethics Journal Club, even if you're not in the concentration. And then for the second question, provide some brief research topic examples. We have faculty who are doing research on topics like the guardian ad litem system, meaning how minors are advocated for through the courts when there is a reason they're being brought into the court system. Maybe it's because there's a divorce in the family. And so there's a lot of research around guardian ad litems. We have research currently being conducted as it relates to reproductive technology, genetic testing, and what people do with that information when they are given a genetic anomaly or a diagnosis. We have faculty that do research on that are currently doing research on concepts related to nudging. So what does it mean to nudge someone in a certain direction? Is it ethical? Is it not ethical? Is there a limit to that? We have folks doing research on topics like capacity, competency, decision-making for patients. We have neuroethics research going on. We've got research related to AI, research related to adolescents, and clinical ethics itself. So researching the work that clinical ethicists do. So and that's just a small sampling. There is a huge number of things. Some of these research projects are funded by the NIH, some are funded by the National Science Foundation, others are local or even unfunded, but super interesting research to be involved in. So lots of ways to get involved. And I would say probably about 50% of our students are actively involved in research. And so if you're interested and you want to get involved, we definitely can find a way for that to happen. Okay, there's another question that came in. Are there any full tuition scholarships offered by CASE for the program? So unfortunately, there is not. One of the things that students start to find as they start to look at graduate programs and specifically master's programs, most master's programs do not have full-time funding. And that's not just true at CASE, that's kind of true across the country. There may be some specific fields that's a little different in, but by and large, most master's programs do not have funding available, whether it be scholarships or tuition or grants or stipends. And because of that is actually why we created our student assistantship program, because it offers something to our students. And we feel that offering something is better than offering nothing. I'm looking to see if there's any more questions. One of the things that sometimes students will ask is, I'm not sure if I'm ready to submit an application, but could we set up a meeting and do almost like a pre-screening before I apply? And I meet with students all the time. I'm so happy to meet with students. We can do a phone call, we can do a Zoom meeting. You can even visit campus and really talk about what are your goals for your career path? How does this program enhance those? How can we build into those? How can we benefit those? And is this program the right fit for you? And so I love having one-on-one discussions with prospective students, with potential applicants, so you get a better sense that when you go to submit your application, the likelihood of admission decision for you. All right, so I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'll go ahead and wrap us up. If you have any questions, if you want to schedule a meeting, join another webinar, even schedule a visit, please email us bioethics@case.edu. I'm typically the person that is the primary point for that email. We have other colleagues that also check that. I am also happy to refer you to other faculty if you're interested in talking with someone about your interests or the program as well. So please, please feel free to reach out anytime. Happy to continue the conversation. And we hope to see you apply to our program. We think it's provides a lot of benefit for students. And we just love to see where our students go on to after the time in the program. Thank you so much for joining us today, whether you're here live with us or you're watching the recording. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you so much.